Wow. Knife only, no damage, unprofessional. Wow, I feel so entitled, guys. I really feel like I put myself on that pedestal. Played the game like it actually feels like a game, not a pre-alpha. Wow. That actually feels as good as the original version of Resident Evil 4. It didn't feel awkward or anything. It actually feels like a real fight, guys. It actually feels like it's a skillful fight. Not some completely unfinished, broken mess with very inconsistent parry timings, forcing me to back up constantly to ensure the parry timings don't get messed up, and then I'm constantly having to set up on the second level just so that Krauser doesn't evade or do any of his combo nonsense, just to throw me off or anything. And I'm also not clipping on anything down on the ground level below. I'm not clipping on those stupid braziers on the walls. And I'm also preventing Krauser from doing this stupid ground slam move that forces you to lock onto him. And then you have no idea where you are. So you're trying to move the camera around, trying to get to a ladder before he gets the chance to do his ground slam. And the amount of times I've nearly been hit by that is so stupid. And I really don't feel like the parry timings, even though I was nailing all of them, I don't feel like it was my own ability. I feel like I was just reacting to them, not in a manner indicative with a skillful understanding of parry timings, but just a simple form of reacting, while also backing up to somehow make the parry timings more bearable. I don't understand why people try to do knife only on Krauser. I really don't. Why did they waste time with this in this stupid pre-alpha? This feels so awkward. Like, compared to fighting Jack Baker in the End of Zoe DLC as his final boss fight, skillfully crouching under his attacks and then skillfully hitting him at the right moment to actually stun him, to get those consistent stuns. That actually feels like real skillful play, but it just feels like in this encounter here, it's the illusion of skillful play, and I'm actually just spontaneously reacting in a very strange way to his attacks. I'm having to just do all these weird motions just to ensure that he doesn't do anything ridiculous or anything. That was unusual. I've never seen Krauser loop that attack that many times. Oh, come on, really? Okay. You're probably wondering why I did this. It was not for pleasure or anything, or like what all those idiot people would do when they're trying to do a stupid run. Oh, they're trying to take pleasure from this. Oh, I want to show my dick to everyone. I want to be all manly, this and that, by doing a stupid run or some kind of stupid strategy that doesn't feel befitting for the core designs of this pre-alpha or game. Because apparently doing something that 0.001% of individuals only do is somehow incredible. Did you ever think there's a reason why that percentage is so low? And also, it's for myself because I'm just trying to grasp why people think Krauser's so amazing and why doing knife only against him in Resident Evil 4 Remilk is somehow impressive. I mean, this just looked really stupid. What I was doing was just going up on the top level, and the reason why I do this, to get him to come up top, is to stop him from doing his really stupid like evade animations and combo attacks. And so whenever he jumps up and you're right next to him, he always does 5 attacks. Like he either does the uppercut, the reverse slash he does with his left hand, the grab, the charge attack. I mean, very rarely he'll do that animation, and if he does, you're screwed because the detection on parrying that charge attack when you're close to him is garbage. And then the other move he can do is just the kick move, which you just use a quick time event to avoid. Why you don't have a quick time event for his stupid charge attack, I don't know. But this just looked really silly. This doesn't feel like a real fight. The way Krauser was handled knife only in Resident Evil 4 OG made so much more sense. It actually fit the core designs of Resident Evil 4 OG nicely. It didn't feel so awkward, and this guy has so much life. I'm having to deal with the really awkward detection on the deflection, and you'll notice that a lot of the times I was backing up, because I mentioned before in my previous video that I made for my worst through that I'm doing right now, that the detection on parrying Krauser is very spotty when you're close to him. That's why I always back up, because it seems to improve the detection somehow. And of course, I took that one hit right there. I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was a mistiming or it was just the game slash pre-alpha being the way it is with its inconsistent nature. I really don't know. But, I mean, it's just so messy. Like, this is not how you design a fight around perfect parries. I mean, when you go to something like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor, and there's that sort of push and pull motion to parrying, and you never feel like the timing on the parry is weird. Like, the timing on your parries always feels like it makes sense. It doesn't feel inconsistent or so strict as to be so unresponsive. You're not having to resort to gaming the system to just stop this guy from doing his combos or his stupid evade animations, or when he does that stupid charge attack of his at close range, which is meant to be a long-range attack, and just having him do long-range attacks at close range is already so bullshit enough. Do I really have to deal with his other bullshit? I mean, I just don't feel like this was a skill-intensive fight at all. It just feels like I was just doing stuff. That's just it. It just feels like I was just more so reacting to stuff rather than actually feeling like I was engaging in anything. And for it to drag on this long, I mean, it still doesn't change the fact that the music is just ill-fitting for this encounter. It doesn't change how crappy Krauser's voice acting is. It doesn't change just how much they've ruined Krauser's character. And now people want to tell me that knife only feels practical against Krauser. Are you serious? It just feels like I played an encounter that was 1% finished, just doing this methodology. And at least I do understand that the developers didn't promote knife only like they did in Resident Evil Village. Like, why the hell did the Resident Evil Village developers promote Knives Out? What is wrong with those idiots? Do they not understand their own game? And they seriously want you to mash the melee button like crazy that you're gonna make your fingers so tired in the process? Or when you're having to do stupid stuff like when you're having to loop Bella's attacks in a stupid way, when you're having to loop Moreau's attacks with his close range attack, when you're having to loop Aureus's attack to get him to stop spawning in lichens, when you're having to sit in front of Aureus Strawhair's leg for 20 to 25 minutes, slashing it with your karambit, even on easy difficulty, when you're having to waste time waiting for bosses to come back into the arena if they have the ability to fly, when you're having to deal with the unresponsive melee because Ethan would always stop after a second knife slash for no reason, when you're having to use the block function to bypass that, and you're having to deal with the input drops and all this kind of stuff. And then the developers glamorizing that challenge for 70,000 CP to make the player go through an almost unfinished mess that just causes you to view these developers as a joke. It causes them to view their own game as a joke if they're glamorizing these kind of stupid challenges that don't fit the core designs of their game. And they're trying to satisfy or just fill up the egos of all these individuals that want to express their manliness or flash their dick at you by just doing all these really stupid runs that are on par with sitting naked in the snow. Because 0.0001% of individuals do that. Oh, if they do that, I'm going to be amazing. I'll stand out among the populace. Or the other stupid comments you get from people. Oh, I like suffering in a game. What the hell does that mean? You like to suffer in a game and do these kind of stupid restrictions? I'm just glad I did this video because it gives me more information and more meat to add to my retrospective of Resident Evil 4 Remilk. Just criticizing the hell out of this pre-alpha, this disgraceful remake of Resident Evil 4. They took such an iconic boss fight with Krauser that actually made the knife stand out in such an interesting way. It actually felt like they wanted to strategically use the knife to stay up on your ammunition to get some very interesting reactions on Krauser. And it felt like a sense of honor with taking down Krauser, who was your former comrade back in Operation Javier. But there's just nothing like this. The bosses used to have some kind of methodical, unique designs to them. But you're still dealing with a damaged, spongy, broken mess of an encounter, regardless of whether you're using guns or not. And so you're forcing the player to game the system or just keep your distance from Krauser at all times, punish him when he jumps up, and then just shoot him. Or in this case, I'm just having to not kick him because it messes with his AI otherwise, and I'm having to stay up top to stop him from comboing and the like. I just don't feel like there is any sense of honor in what I did. The knife didn't stand out in some interesting way whatsoever. It just feels so impractical. It doesn't feel like it complements the survival horror aspect with being very strategic with your weaponry. And don't you dare tell me that Resident Evil 1 Remilk being designed for knife only is somehow an impressive thing and that, oh, it was actually very tactical the way they did that. It wasn't. The only reason you did knife only was because of how bare bones that entire game was, if you even want to call it a game. I can't call it a pre-alpha, though, because at that time period, that kind of quality was just the norm. But when you're using the knife all the time, there's nothing special about it. When you're using the knife in a game that is built with all the weapons in mind, and it stands out in an interesting sort of way, that complements the whole idea of strategic weapon usage and strategically saving up on ammunition in an interesting sort of way that actually feels like it's believable and actually feels like it's part of a functional framework within your game. This just didn't feel like that whatsoever. I'm not going to apologize for how critical I am. If you seriously think this fight is serviceable for knife only, you are not human. You are not fucking human at all. I guess I should be glad the developers didn't glamorize knife only in Resident Evil 4 Remilk. I mean, they really seemed like they were going to with their initial interviews before Resident Evil 4 Remilk released. But they instead settled upon the minimalist thing with handgun / knife only, and they want you to do that restriction on New Game Plus because the parameters for that challenge reset back to 0 when you go on New Game Plus. So I can't really complain. So I guess I'm not even aiming this at the developers. I mean, I'm aiming this at the Resident Evil Village developers just to spit on them for their shit idea and really bizarre mentalities, and also towards the idiotic individuals who try to do these stupid runs and try to glamorize them and somehow derive a lot of pleasure from them, and then try to spread this kind of mentality to other individuals. This is precisely why I don't associate with these kind of individuals. They just take their games for granted and all this kind of stuff. And it just borders on pure ignorance. The kind of mentalities they favor when doing their stupid runs. But anyway, see you all later.